Hello and welcome back to A Transformed Life. I am so excited that you are here. First of all, happy 2026. I cannot believe 2025 has come and gone. And we could do a whole podcast on calendars. We won't today. Today, I am going to talk about a very interesting topic to kick off 2026. I hope you stick around. And this was prompted by an interaction I had with an individual. And I realized there's this huge misconception and also how we can end abuse and violence by this one thing. And I posted on Threads. It's a public post, so you can go read it. And it was this. I will read it for you. It went somewhat viral. You can check the stats out for yourself. The post was this. Let me pull it up. Stop spanking. It's not quote unquote discipline. It's adult violence toward a smaller human, simply packaged in a more acceptable word. Spanking teaches love can hurt, or even love does hurt. Big bodies control little bodies. Fear equals obedience. And, quote, when I am overwhelmed, I hit, end quote. Discipline means to teach, to guide, to mentor. Teaching looks like boundaries and calm consequences, plus repair, plus nervous system coaching, not pain. If we want less violence in the world, we don't plant violence in the home, period. Full stop. For many girls, early love plus pain conditioning can later normalize control and harm as care. That's not a character flaw, it's wiring. If you are spanked or have spanked your children and feel defensive, breathe. This isn't an attack, it's an invitation to break the pattern and lead with safety. And this post is still making the rounds on the social media waves. I would encourage you to go check it out if you haven't already. And so, because it invited a lot of engagement, I was like, let's kick off 2026 with a really clear goal of we will end this generational cycles that have plagued generations for centuries, that when we call it spanking, it's somehow permissible, and it simply isn't. Spanking isn't discipline, it is violence. And the body part does not matter. So in this episode, you will leave with the clean definition, the quote-unquote bottom myth is going to be dismantled, and why it worked on me isn't proof, and number 4, how to talk about this without shaming parents. So I'm going to say very plainly, spanking is not discipline. It is physical violence used to cause pain, even if someone calls it light, controlled, only once, I only did it with my hand, it wasn't that hard. The most honest word for that is hitting. We can no longer call this spanking. We need to say it is hitting. Most people probably would not hit an animal, and if they do hit an animal or harm an animal in some way, for when an animal quote unquote misbehaves, that would be animal cruelty. And somehow our human biology has not caught up yet. That hitting a child, and if we call it spanking, it's somehow permissible. It is abuse. It is violence. We are hitting another human who is much smaller than us, who does not need hitting as their punishment. And we'll get into this in a little bit. I'm also going to say this. Hitting a child on the bottom is not morally different than hitting any other part of their body. The location doesn't change what's happening. An adult is using pain to control a smaller human. And the adult is really reacting to the child. The child is activating something in the parent that the parent has not yet addressed. The parent needs to address what's coming up in them before they take their anger out on a very small human. So if you are already feeling defensive, please breathe. This is not here to shame parents. This is here to name what's true, because clarity and truth is kindness, and that is how we heal and change misaligned, abusive patterns such as violence, coercive control, physical pain, physical violence, physical, abuse. And if we don't allow ourselves to say, oh, this is no longer aligned with what I want for the world, for myself, for my children, then we're never going to heal. So it takes a very strong person to say, you know what, I have done this in the past, and moving forward, that is no longer an option for me. I'm going to learn other ways to regulate and heal what is being activated in me, and I will raise my children differently. That is what I want you to take away from this. So this episode is part 1 of a January 2026 series where we're going to end the discipline equals pain story at the root. Today is not about today is about definitions, myths, and language. So you can talk about this clearly, compassionately, and without moral superiority. Let's anchor this in public health and child rights, not vibes. The World Health Organization is very blunt on this topic. Evidence shows corporal punishment harms children's physical and mental health. It increases behavioral problems over time, and it has 0 positive outcomes. That's the frame. Now, let's define it so there's no wiggle room. We're going to use an objective definition, not a cultural one, not a family. My family did it one. The United Nations Committee on the Rights of the Child defines corporal punishment like this: any punishment where physical force is used and intended to cause some degree of pain or discomfort, however light. And it explicitly includes what we're talking about today: smacking, slapping, spanking. And notice what's missing from that definition. It doesn't say only if it leaves a mark. It doesn't say only if you're angry. It doesn't say only if it's not the bottom. It doesn't say only if it's frequent. It's about intent. Physical force intended to cause pain or discomfort as punishment. Now, this matters. General comment number 8 in this Human Rights Committee also makes a distinction that adults love to ignore. Protective physical action is different than punitive force. Holding a child back from running into the street is not the same thing as striking them to teach a lesson. So when someone says, well, I had to grab him, we're not talking about safety intervention. We're talking about pain as a tool of control. And I will interject here as well. We're using physical violence as a way to express the adult's emotions that they cannot control themselves. So here's how spanking has survived socially, and we sanitize it with language. We don't say, I hit my child, which is the truth. We say, I popped her, I gave her a pow pow, I swatted him, just a tap, a little smack, a love pat, I lit her up. Yes, some people still say that like it's cute. And language changes conscience. If we can make it sound small, trivial, not that big of a deal, we can keep doing it while still calling ourselves good parents. And the child's nervous system pays the price. The child's body registers, I am being hurt by the person I'm bonded to. It's extremely confusing for a child. Let's talk about what spanking teaches, because yes, it can stop behavior in the moment. Pain is a powerful interrupter. And interruption is not the same thing as development. Spanking, hitting, teaches love can hurt, big bodies control little bodies, fear equals obedience. When I am overwhelmed, I use force. That's not moral formation, that's threat training. World Health Organization describes what's happening inside the body of a child. Corporal punishment triggers harmful psychological and physiological responses. Children experience pain, fear, anger, shame. And feeling threatened activates stress physiologically and danger pathways. So, if you're trying to teach emotional regulation, empathy, honesty, repair, and you use hitting, pain and fear, to do it, you're teaching the opposite curriculum. You're not a consistent parent, and the child is very confused and is going to have a very difficult time spending thousands of dollars in coaching and therapy to undo what you have done. So please stop hitting your children. So here's a simple reframe. If your goal is my child stops, pain might get you silence. If your goal is my child learns, pain teaches fear. And fear can look like compliance right up until it becomes anxiety, lying, hiding, aggression, shut down, people pleasing, or a teen who doesn't come to you when it matters. And then even when they are in adult life, they are going to have repercussions from this physical violence that parents have inflicted on their children when parents are not even, around their adult children to see how that affects them. And if you grew up with spanking, you may have learned to disconnect from your own signals. You learned don't cry, don't protest, don't feel, that's not fine. That's abdication. You had to adapt something to bypass, to stuff away your emotions. Your caregiver did not co-regulate with you, did not teach, did not communicate. And really when children, quote unquote, misbehave, they need connection and communication. They do not need physical violence and hitting. So we're going to dismantle this bottom myth, why location doesn't change morality. Let's dismantle this myth that keeps spanking socially acceptable. It's just the bottom. No, it is not just the bottom. This is a story adults tell themselves to keep hitting inside the boundaries of what their culture, will excuse. Bottom, side of the head, face, arms, it's all the same. It does not matter where it is. And I'm going to dig even faster and dig into this. Like, where did the bottom even come from? The WHO fact sheet is explicit about scope. Corporal punishment includes hitting with a hand or an implement, and it exists on a spectrum that can include harsh forms like being hit hard or repeatedly, or being hit on the head, face, and ears. Nowhere in the body does a person ever deserve to be hit. The definition isn't where, the definition is what. Physical force, physical harm, used to cause pain as punishment. And here's the piece parents do not want to face. there's an inbuilt risk of escalation. WHO says all corporal punishment, however mild or light, carries that risk. And studies suggest parents who use corporal punishment are at heightened risk of severe maltreatment. Let that sink in for you. Meaning, if you intend to keep it controlled, you are practicing a behavior whose logic is, I'm allowed to hurt you to make you obey. I'm going to hurt you to force you to obey me. And once pain becomes a tool, the door is open to more pain when the first dose stops working. If you've ever said, I only do it when I have to, I want you to notice the sentence, pain is my last resort. That's still pain as an option, and that needs to be off the table completely. It is not an option. Hitting another person, whether it's a 6-year-old child or a 26-year-old woman, is not an option. This next section is this line, I was spanked and I'm fine. No shame. And also notice, not evidence. If you are spanked and you feel defensive right now, I'm not here to shame you. Most parents repeat what they inherited, especially under stress. And a lot of people survived a lot and still built a life. I'm not taking that away from you. However, I'm fine is not evidence that the practice is good. It's evidence that humans are resilient. WHO's summary is blunt. Corporal punishment has no positive outcomes and is linked with a wide range of negative outcomes across cultures. Physical and mental ill health, impaired cognitive and socio-emotional development, poorer educational outcomes, increased aggression and perpetuation of violence, and damaged family relationships. Research literature repeatedly finds association between corporal punishment and more aggression, antisocial behavior, and less long-term compliance, the opposite of what parents want long-term. The American Academy of Pediatrics has also advised against physical punishment and focuses on effective discipline strategies that don't rely on pain. Short-term silence is not long-term character. So instead of, was I fine? Here are better questions. What did I learn about authority? What did I learn about expressing emotions? What did I learn about conflict? Did I become more honest or more strategic? Did I start hiding? Did I start lying? Did I start people pleasing? Did I stuff my needs away? Spanking does not lead to healthy relationships, and that is why we have so many dysfunctional relationships today. Did I learn repair or did I learn fear? Did I learn love or did I learn control? Because the common fine outcome is I learned how to avoid getting hit. That's not the same as learning the skill you are trying to teach. And for people who insist spanking is nothing like abuse, again, the WHO explicitly notes spanking is linked to a atypical brain function similar to more severe abuse, undermining the argument that less severe physical punishment is harmless. And even Harvard, reporting on research, also describes spanking affecting children's brain response to threat cues in ways similar to severe maltreatment. The adult truth. Spanking, hitting, is a parent strategy. I'm going to say it very clearly. Spanking is a parent strategy, usually a parent in low capacity who can't handle their own high emotions. They are feeling out of control. They are feeling frustrated. Something is going on within that caregiver, in that parent specifically, and they take it out on the child. So even when you look calm, you're still choosing force because you've run out of internal regulation and tools in that moment. And please hear me. This isn't an identity attack. This is a skills and support gap. The WHO points to risk factors like caregiver stress, mental health conditions, and substance use, and also community factors like poverty and discrimination that raises stress load and risk. Another site speaks to why spanking persists. It's quick, it feels effective in the moment, and it doesn't require planning. So it becomes a reflex under pressure, and not a healthy reflex. So if you're a parent listening and you've spanked, I'm not asking you to wear a scarlet letter. I'm asking you to tell the truth. I don't have a better tool in my body in that moment. I didn't have. This is past tense, because moving forward from this podcast and for the next episodes, there's 4 more after this in January, all on this topic, because it's so important that we end this abuse. I didn't have a better tool in my body in that moment, and moving forward, I do. I will. Because once we name it, we can change it. We can't change it if we don't have awareness over it. So I'm going to give you some tools. My favorite. When the next time you are in a heated moment with your child, here's a 3-step pattern interrupt that you can practice immediately. Stop your hand. Put it on your own chest or thigh or leg or belly. Don't let your hand come in contact with your child in a violent manner. It's not a love tap, like whatever your justifications, keep your hands to yourself. And it's really interesting. We always tell kids to keep their hands to themselves, and yet how many parents use their hands as weapons against their kids? So that's a very mixed message for children. When children hear that they're supposed to keep their hands to themselves and not hit their friend or their sibling, and that parents are hitting them, that is a mixed message. That is not healthy parenting. That is misdirected parenting that needs to be shored up. Because if a child isn't supposed to hit someone else, then a parent must not hit a child. And if adults aren't supposed to hit each other, then why are adults hitting children? It's so twisted. So number 2. So number 1, you're going to stop your hand. Put your hand on your body. Do not let it come in contact with your child. Number 2, lower your voice. Slower is leadership. The whole thing about self-leadership starts with you. And then you're going to give yourself some time. You're going to say, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm taking a breath. We'll handle this. And so this is power under control. Get yourself together, and then you can address the issue with the child. Nonviolent discipline is not permissive. It's leadership. It says, I can be the boundary without being the threat. I can hold the line without harming your body. I can handle your big feelings without outsourcing my regulation to your pain. Here are 3 more tools you can use. Say them exactly like this to your child. I won't let you hurt people. I can handle your feelings without hurting your body. We're going to fix this with boundaries and repair. Communication. That's all kids are vying for. They are dysregulated, and it's up to the adults. These are developing children. They don't have everything you do. And most adults are also under-functioning or over-functioning. They are still healing themselves. And so this is a learning, compassionate journey, and you can do better. And it starts with not hitting. It's not spanking. We need to call it for what it is. We are no longer hitting our children. Violence is not acceptable. Abuse is not acceptable. So here's an example. Sibling hitting. I won't let you hit your brother, your sister. I see you're mad. You can be mad. You can't hit. We're going to repair, and you're going to help make it right. Here's another example. Defiance, refusal. I hear you don't want to. Acknowledge what's going on with them. Like, I see, I hear, and it's still happening. I'll help you through it. Offer choice and support instead of threat. This is a big one for parents. Public meltdown. You're having a hard time. I'm here. We're going to the car to calm down. I won't punish your feelings. I will guide your behavior. Again, without hitting, without violence, without abuse. And I really want to underline something the UN committee says very clearly. Rejecting corporal punishment is not rejecting discipline. Children need guidance and direction. What we're rejecting, what we're no longer doing, is the deliberate infliction of pain as punishment, pain as discipline. So when someone tries to trap you with, oh, you just let your kids run wild, no. This is not chaos. This is regulated authority. If your parenting plan, if your parenting requires pain, it's not discipline. It's control. It's a lack of control on your part of your emotions that you haven't healed. Something is becoming activated, triggered in yourself, and you're taking it out on your child. The child activated something new, and your child is simply showing you where you are not free. And whatever that is, what area you are not free in, that is for you to heal. That is not for the child to handle. The bottom myth is just that. It's simply a myth. The body part doesn't change the moral reality. An adult is using pain and violence and abuse to control a child. World Health Organization's position is very clear. Corporal punishment harms children and has no positive outcomes, and even mild forms carry an inbuilt risk of escalation. So, January 2026 is dedicated to ending this cycle without shaming parents and without protecting harmful norms. We are going to end abuse in my lifetime. If this episode hit you in the chest, share it with a parent who wants healthier tools to raise their children. And if you're a parent who's used spanking and you want out of that pattern, you're not evil, you're not alone, you're not beyond repair. You're allowed to learn new skills and lead differently. You are allowed to change and up-level your life. You are the one who's breaking generational cycles of abuse and violence. So the next episode, we're going to get really practical on what to do instead, especially in the exact moments you used to reach for force. And I also want to say this, violence, spanking girls is extremely detrimental to how they pick abusive partners. They have learned to equate violence, abuse, with love, and that is why we have so much violence in the world. And this is also why every 10 minutes a woman or a girl is killed, usually by a male family member or intimate partner, if they are of adult age. Love must not hurt, and we have been in cycles where love has hurt, stemming from homes that have been using spanking, hitting, and calling it spanking, justifying it. We're going to get into the whole biblical myth as well in this series this month, so stay tuned for that. We are going to be the parents of healing and change. And it starts with you. From this day forward, I want you to say this. I will no longer hit my child. I will call spanking for what it is. It is hitting. It is violence. It is abuse. And it is no longer acceptable. Would I hit a cat, a dog? And if somebody would hit a cat or dog, that is psychopathic behavior. That is not acceptable. And it's not acceptable to hit children. No matter what society previously thought, it is the gateway to domestic violence, and why so many women and girls, and boys too, are being killed. Women and girls are being killed a woman or girl is killed every 10 minutes. 3.4 women a day are killed by former or current intimate male partners. And when males, because they have the biology of kind of like the protector, they're more prone to that inciting violence on to women, just biologically. And so this is why so many men are just abusive, and they're calling it spanking. It is not spanking, it is hitting. And if there's anything I want you to take away from this episode, is to call spanking for what it is. It is violence, it is abuse, it is hitting. And you can change the trajectory of your family lineage by no longer hitting your children. And if you have hit your children, I would encourage you to have a repair session with them, a conversation saying, hey, I am changing, I am learning, and I will no longer be hitting you from this day forward, from this moment forward. And we're going to work together on having a healthy home, on healthy communication, and really learning what true love is. Love does not hurt. Love does not punish. Love does not control. And you're going to use healthy tools that I'm going to guide you through. I already gave you some in this podcast. Please go back and listen to them. And in the next episodes, this entire month of January, new episodes of A Transformed Life drop every Friday. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them. And as always, if you have not done so already, please leave a 5-star review and share this podcast with someone who needs it. We are going to end this violence and abuse, especially against women and especially against children, and come into repair, love, communication, compassion, connection, curiosity, and heal what wants to be healed. I look forward to seeing you next week on this podcast. Thank you so much for your support. It is an honor and pleasure to be with you on your life journey. If there's anything we can do to support you, please reach out, and we will see you next week. Have a beautiful day.